Today on Good Morning Maine, details on two deadly accidents that left investigators looking for answers.
Plus, the latest from a Machias courtroom where a shocking murder trial will continue this week.
And it was a warm send-off as the annual Wreaths Across America convoy set off on this year's important mission.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning, a very stormy Monday morning. We have a pretty powerful storm system working its way through the state at this hour. It's expected to bring very strong winds, lots of rain, 2 to 4 inches perhaps, and in some areas a lot of snow. The far northern tip of Maine and the western mountains, they can pick up maybe even up to a foot of fresh snow. But the big concern around this area, of course, is the wind and the rain. It could cause some flooding this morning, especially around 9 o'clock when the high tide occurs, not only here in Bangor but along the coast as well. And we're keeping our eyes open for power outages. As the morning has progressed, we've seen a few more, still not widespread outages at this point, but Central Maine Power Company dealing with a handful in their area, and Versant dealing with more than 4,000 at this point. A lot of those are right along the coast.
Yeah, Washington and Hancock counties are getting hit right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check in with Devin Biggs for a look at that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Scotts Recreation, New England's largest trailer dealer, home at Maine's lowest camper and tractor prices, with locations in Turner, Manchester, Herman, and Orono, Maine. All right, we got a lot going on here, so let's start here with some winter weather alerts in the northern parts of the state, and this will last until later this evening at around 7 p.m. or so because of a lot of snowfall that will be expected in those areas, causing some travel issues there. But meanwhile, the next set of advisories we're going to talk about, though, we have a storm warning along the coast. We also have high wind warnings located right about here. It's actually right behind this flood alert here. An aerial flood watch also posted, winter weather advisories, and also some aerial flood alerts as well. There is a lot going on right now, too, and then there's those wind alerts that we were talking about as well. Those will also last until around 7 p.m. Things will start to improve as we head towards later this evening. So there's a lot of advisories in effect, and here we go. A lot of rainfall, no breaks to be seen. There's no lightning, thankfully, though, but we do have the rain moving through. A lot of heavy rainfall to be seen across the area. Further out to the north, that's where the snow is being seen, some travel issues there. But for us, rain and wind will be the bigger issue across our neck of the woods. The bigger picture, though, pretty much the entire Northeast is seeing some kind of precipitation, whether that's a little bit of rain or a little bit of snow. So please be careful if you do have to travel today. If you can stay home today, maybe encourage it, though. Just wait for this to move out of here later on tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be a little bit better. But if you do have to be out, just take it slow and allow extra time to get to where you're going. Here's our high temperatures all ready for today. No error here, this graphic. Some of us have already seen 50s today, others in the 40s. We pretty much have already hit our high temperatures for this day, as we'll be cooling off moving forward. But things do calm down later on tonight, though, as we get this system out of here. Then we'll have a lot of sunshine, maybe a little bit of a breeze as we head towards tomorrow as well, as we'll start to push the winds out of here. They'll be out of the northwest at around 20 miles per hour early, but backing off slowly but surely. We'll have to wait until Tuesday afternoon for some improvement in the winds. So at hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a lot of rain and wind on the way. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you very much, Devin. Well, one person is dead following a fatal crash in Steuben on Sunday. According to the Department of Public Safety, troopers responded to a single vehicle crash around 1:30 p.m. yesterday. An initial investigation indicates the driver of a 2013 Chevy Malibu was traveling southbound on the Unionville Road when the vehicle crossed over a hill and then went airborne. The driver reportedly struck a tree and was found dead at the scene. The identity of the deceased will not be released pending the notification of next of kin, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation, but officials say that speed appears to be a factor.
Icy roads are suspected to be the cause of another deadly accident over the weekend. One person was killed on Saturday following a two-vehicle accident in Lincoln. The Lincoln Police Department reportedly responded to the intersection of Route 6 and Buena Vista Drive just before 10:30 a.m. Upon arrival, officers determined that a passenger in one of the vehicles was deceased after receiving fatal injuries. Police say the driver of that same vehicle refused medical treatment at the scene, and the operator of the second vehicle was taken to Penobscot Valley Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The accident is being reconstructed with the help of the Maine State Police and the Bangor Police Department, but an initial investigation shows the road conditions may have been a contributing factor in the crash. Police are asking drivers to be mindful of black ice while traveling.
Well, the roadways were horrible on Saturday. That was just one of numerous accidents on Saturday. State police closed a section of the interstate after getting reports of vehicles losing control one after another on the ice-covered highway. According to the Maine Department of Public Safety, troopers responded to approximately 8 crashes, including 1 rollover and 1 tractor-trailer across the road. Police say the interstate was closed from mile marker 174 southbound while roads were being treated, and the crashes were in the area of 163 and 150 southbound. Minor injuries reported, though. A short time later, troopers responded to approximately 12 other crashes and slide-offs due to the black ice at mile marker 188 southbound in Bangor. 1 person was transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the roadways reopened later in the day once the roads were treated.
Police were reportedly called to an incident at an Old Town trailer park Sunday afternoon. According to a University of Maine alert, police responded to Regency Trailer Park in Old Town for a barricaded subject with a firearm. An officer at the Old Town Police Department confirmed that they responded to the park but did not provide further details. The officer also confirmed that the situation has been resolved and there is no threat to the public. Police expect to release further details Monday morning.
An Orrington couple lost their home to a house fire on Sunday. The Orrington Fire Department reportedly responded to a 2-story residence on the Sweats Pond Road around 12:30 p.m. Upon arrival, they discovered heavy smoke and fire coming from the first floor. The Orrington Fire Department says they were assisted by at least 6 crews on the scene.
Everybody has been out of the house safely. There's no injuries to the homeowners or to any firefighters. As you can see, we're obviously continuing to work here to dig out hot spots.
I went over there to make sure nobody was inside. Back window was busted out, so I knew it was pretty bad.
According to the fire department, the owners were not home at the time of the fire. A family that lives across the street says they saw smoke from the back of the house and called 911. Neighbors say the homeowners have been longtime Orrington residents that would do anything to help others in the community.
They're the ones that would give the shirt off their back to you. This is really such an awesome community, and I have no doubt that people are going to be stepping up, including us, to help them out.
Firefighters say it took several hours for crews to isolate the fire. The cause is still under investigation this morning.
A Milford man died Friday after falling through the ice on Quackish Lake in T3 Indian Purchase Township. The Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says 62-year-old Walter Demmons and a friend were preparing to ice fish about 75 yards from shore around 9:30 Friday morning. They were checking the ice thickness by drilling holes through it when they heard the ice crack. The two spread out in an attempt to not break through, but the ice did break and both fell into the water. The department said the two were communicating with each other as they tried to get out, but Demmons suddenly said he was not going to make it and went under. The friend was able to eventually get out of the water and call 911. Demmons' body was later retrieved and brought to a funeral home. His friend was treated for hypothermia at the hospital and was released.
3 people charged in connection with a home invasion and armed robbery in Norridgewock last week appeared in court on Friday. 37-year-old Javier Coralin of Connecticut, 29-year-old Zayed Isa of Pennsylvania, and 37-year-old Alexandra Gords of Waterville all appeared via Zoom from the Somerset County Jail. The suspects were arrested Wednesday, but allegedly refused to give their names at first. All 3 are now facing counts related to a Class A robbery and various drug charges. One of the suspects, Zayed Isa, addressed the court on Friday afternoon.
They're saying they found money on me, or they found something I stole on me. That's not true either. And then they're saying there were drugs on me that were found. That's not true either. I never had drugs, money, or any of that from anywhere.
Bail was set at $50,000 cash for Isa and Coralin. Board's bail set at $5,000 cash with conditions that she enter a substance use disorder program. All 3 are scheduled to appear in court once again on January 24th.
A murder trial will continue this week in a Machias courtroom. That's where 2 people are accused in the brutal stabbing death of a woman from Pleasant Point. David Ledford was there when the trial began.
Jurors heard opening statements in the trial of 2 people accused of killing a Perry woman who was found dead in her home after being stabbed nearly 500 times.
Perry residents 40-year-old Donald Dana and 39-year-old Kaylee Brackett have both been charged with 1 count of murder for the death of 43-year-old Kimberly Neptune in April of last year. Prosecutors say they have evidence that will prove either one or both of the parties committed the crime, including footprints and blood found at the scene.
Donald Dana and Kaylee Brackett stabbed her over and over and over again. Donald Dana had left his blood on the stairway, on the wall. The state alleges the defendant either personally committed the crime of murder or was the accomplice of the other defendant.
The defense, on the other hand, argued that neither of the defendants had enough of a motive to kill Neptune.
The state collected over 144 items of evidentiary value. Nothing credible links back to Kaylee Brackett. Why would Kaylee Brackett savagely murder her best friend for money?
Danelle and Kimberly's brother, Sam, they grew up together. They like in the same class in school, they played on all the same teams.
Opening arguments were supposed to begin Thursday, but were delayed for what the judge described as new developments. The nature of those developments was not made clear Friday. Both Brackett and Dana pleaded not guilty in July of 2022. Their trial will resume next week. In Machias, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, in other news, Holden police have arrested a man suspected of leading multiple police agencies on a high-speed chase through at least 3 towns. That incident occurred back on October 17th when a driver refused to pull over for a traffic stop in Dedham. The person, now identified by the Maine Department of Public Safety as 34-year-old Noah Weeks, allegedly continued through Holden and into Eddington, where he abandoned the vehicle he was driving and then took control of a man's truck. The driver later ditched that truck and took yet another car at PV Manufacturing in Eddington. Weeks was arrested on 2 outstanding arrest warrants and also faces additional charges from Holden PD, including robbery, driving to endanger, and theft by unlawful taking.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, the Wreaths Across America convoy has set out on the annual trip to Arlington National Cemetery. We'll take you to the big send-off as the trucks hit the road.
But first, another check of that messy weather forecast. We can expect rain, wind, and fog, and even snow in some locations today. The highs will be near 43 degrees. Partly cloudy overnight, with lows dropping down to the low 20s. Tomorrow, a much calmer day. It will be mostly sunny on your Tuesday, with a high near 35.
There's never been a better time to get away with a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. Plus America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now's the time to get in and get away.
Lease an all-wheel drive 2024 Palisade for only $379 a month or get 3.49% APR. See your Bangor Hyundai dealer.
At US Cellular, anyone can get any phone free. So give yourself a free phone.
She's here.
Then give yourself the gift of not checking it. The gift of connection at US Cellular. New and current customers get any phone free.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. With so many mesothelioma lawyers on television, how do you choose the right firm for you and your family? Our goal is to get you as much as you deserve. $30 billion was set aside for mesothelioma victims like you. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, we'll come to you within 24 hours so our team can get to work right away. Call us now. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Call 1-800-602-5800.
It's the picture-perfect season.
Gingerbread house.
I mean, this is Pictionary. Yeah. Are you not entertained? For festive family fun.
Oh, eggnog. We ran out of time. Ooh, Orlando looks confident. Hot chocolate? Hot chocolate. Gabrielle even gave us the season.
Watch all new episodes.
Ski
Lodge.
Ski Lodge.
Ski Lodge is correct. Pictionary every weekday.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
The Wreaths Across America escort to Arlington National Cemetery kicked off on Saturday and made a special stop in Ellsworth on Sunday morning. Our Grace Blanchard spoke with veterans and community members about what this tradition means to them.
As 13 tractor trailers packed with wreaths make their way to Arlington National Cemetery in the country's longest Veterans Parade, community members lined the streets of Ellsworth to greet the escort as it stopped by the city's Mill Mall.
Wonderful.
It's exciting.
And the cars
honking when they go by. It's just fantastic.
Wreaths Across America's year-long mission is to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom.
We should teach our young children that don't know everything and the sacrifices. We should teach them to never forget, to always honor, and to be there for our veterans and our service families.
An honorary ceremony was held indoors at the Downey's Family YMCA for the first time, as the community recognized local veterans in the Downeast area. And those who attended may have recognized a familiar face in the crowd. ABC 7 and Fox 22's very own Susan Farley, who served as the master of ceremonies for the event.
It's all about love and showing how much people show respect and appreciation for those that have served and those that have fallen.
Many veterans say this tradition leaves a profound impact on the veteran community and their families.
Today was a great celebration and memorial to those who have served, like myself, and the many who were here.
Many come from all across the country to participate in the escort.
My 6th year doing it. I come all the way from New Jersey to do it. People have asked me why I do it. You know, a little bit of wind, a little bit of rain is nothing compared to the sacrifice that our soldiers have given us.
The escort will continue to make its journey along the East Coast before reaching Virginia to honor fallen soldiers with a wreath-laying ceremony. In Ellsworth, Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Piscataquis County giveaway took place over the weekend, helping to support those who have served. Our Callie Warren has the story.
On Saturday, 83 Piscataquis County veterans received a gift from the community ahead of the holidays in the form of food boxes. The boxes go towards feeding families, each one filled with ham, vegetables, bread, and more. The giveaway is by veterans for veterans, sponsored by local group Wilderness Walk for Warriors, and those involved say it's important to the whole community.
It brings the community together to take care of all our veterans within Piscataquis County. Whatever we can do for veterans, that's what the American Legion is about, and that's what the Wilderness Walk is about.
Boxes are given away between Thanksgiving and Christmas to ease what some say is a difficult time for veterans in need.
Especially at this time of year, times are tough and it's getting colder and near Christmas, and so it just gives them a little hand up and maybe to put a little bit more towards presents rather than having to worry about food. So they're very appreciative.
This is the 9th winter that food has been donated to local families. Some veterans stopped by Milo's American Legion Post 41 to pick up their food, while others had it delivered directly to their homes by Legion members and Wilderness Walk volunteers.
Today I've been delivering boxes to families around town. They are elated. Yes, it's a very good thing, and it's known around this area.
The giveaway aims to reduce hunger in some of Maine's most rural and vulnerable populations. To find out more about how you can help Piscataquis County veterans, visit our website at foxbangor.com. In Milo, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Maine had a record number of Lyme disease cases this year, according to the Maine CDC, and the problem doesn't go away when the snow falls. Our Augusta area reporter Corey Bouchard learns more about what you need to know to stay safe this winter.
Unfortunately, unlike the mosquitoes that we have in Maine, ticks don't hibernate or go dormant or die during the winter. So anytime that the temperature is above freezing, they can be out, and if they can get above the snow layer, they can be biting people.
Megan Porter, a public health educator at the Maine CDC, says just because it's cold outside doesn't mean the threat of ticks goes away.
During the winter, the main tick that we have in our state that's active is the deer tick. Deer ticks tend to like forested areas, so areas that have tall grass and shrubs and deciduous trees or leafy trees. Unfortunately, that's a lot of Maine, and it might be your backyard.
Porter adds the first step of tick prevention is to wear clothes that cover your legs and arms. She says that thankfully, because of the cold, most people are already bundled up.
Step 2 would be to add a layer of an EPA-approved repellent. So something like DEET. Your typical mosquito repellents with EPA-approved ingredients should all work against ticks as well. So add that on. If you've got some dedicated winter hiking gear, winter skiing gear, anything like that, you can treat that with permethrin, and that should last you all winter.
Another tip to kill off any ticks that may have hitched a ride on your coattails is to throw your jacket or outer layers into the dryer for 10 minutes after returning home. According to the Maine CDC, over 2,700 Mainers contracted Lyme disease this past year, which is the highest number ever recorded in the state.
Now, this is part of a trend that we've seen over the last few years where we've had increasing number of cases over the years. This just tells us that the deer ticks that we have in Maine are increasing in number. We know that they're in every county in Maine, and we know that the risk is still there all the time.
Porter adds, if you get bitten by a tick, don't panic. Remove the tick with a tick spoon or pair of needle-nosed tweezers. And if you start to feel sick, talk with a healthcare professional. In Augusta, I'm Cora Bouchard with ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Very timely with the weather. We've already lost a bunch of our snow around the Bangor area.
I know.
Temperatures are up there, so be careful. The ticks are out and about.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't know that, so that's a bummer.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention it this morning. Keep those letters to Santa Claus coming in case you didn't know about it. Santa's going to be visiting us again tomorrow.
Yep.
And on Thursday, he's going to be answering children's wish lists for Christmas. So it's a chance for you to send them in to, what is it? What's the address? You know, because you're in charge of this whole thing.
It's if you just go to the website foxbangor.com, there is a little square on the right side of the page, and you can just click on it and easily send in your letters. So you don't even have to email us anymore. Just go to the website and find that little box.
Or you can drop it in the mail. They just put the address up there a second ago. 371 Target Industrial Circle here in Bangor.
And if you Google us, Google Maps will tell you our address if you need a repeat.
Kind of neat. Santa's looking forward to hearing from the kids in your life.
Yeah, we'll make sure all of them get out, even if he doesn't read them on air. We'll post them on our social media pages. So it'll be, Santa will read them either way, even if it's just not on live TV. Okay, the time now is 8:22. After the break, around here in central and down east Maine, we've been getting tons of rain overnight, but this is a leftover storm that has brought tornadoes to other parts of the country.
We'll hear all about it, plus that local weather forecast as Good Morning Maine continues.
It's time to start planning that new home or garage you've been thinking about. Hammond Lumber Company is here to help, offering complete building packages with everything you need. With several options on their website and thousands of unique plans in their in-house drawing catalog. Hammond will help you make your dreams a reality. Choose your materials from Hammond's extensive showroom displays, and Hammond will deliver your order from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Start planning your new home or garage at Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
My darling granddaughter, this camera was given to me when I was your age. May it capture your big, beautiful life the way it did mine.
It's so surprising what the little things can do. Wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody...
Oh, Merry Christmas, Grandmother.
Hi, I'm Dave Sear, President and CEO of Skowhegan Savings Bank. I'm pleased to announce today our third annual Seasons of Giving campaign. We give each branch and department $1,000, which totals $20,000 for the company, and they get to choose their own nonprofit to get a $1,000 donation before the end of the year. Please check out our social media for updates about the award winners prior to the holidays. And from all of us at Skowhegan Savings Bank, happy holidays.
The holidays are here and scammers are putting in extra hours. Keep these tips in mind. Carefully research any charity prior to making a donation and be selective when giving out banking information. When buying gift cards, stick to stores you know and trust and keep your receipts. When shopping online, look for HTTPS in the address bar to ensure you are on a secure website. Finally, trust your gut. If the deal appears too good to be true, it probably is. With these tips in mind, have a great holiday season from Bangor PD. We'll be here if you need us.
Welcome back, everyone. A storm system that brought deadly tornadoes to the south is now triggering flood alerts in much of the Northeast, from New York to Boston and northern New England. And now we're learning just how destructive those storms were over the weekend. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with more.
This morning, the powerful storm system that spawned deadly tornadoes across the south is hitting the northeast, dumping up to 6 inches of rain from New York City to Boston and up to 5 inches of snow in higher elevations of the interior northeast.
In the wake of it, cold air oozing in, and well, that's what's going to change that rain to snow for all as we go into the overnight hours or through the overnight hours. And in the wake of this storm, we'll get a little bit of lake effect.
In Tennessee, at least 6 people are dead, including 2 children. A mother and her 2-year-old son were killed when the storm hit these mobile homes. At least 26 tornadoes were reported across the region Saturday and Sunday, packing winds up to 150 miles per hour. The storm's causing tens of thousands of power outages, this fireball erupting at a power station outside Nashville. And this picture shows the damage at a different substation.
I heard behind me, it sounded like a freight train.
Luke Dill says a tornado approached his home in Clarksville, Tennessee, as he was putting his son into his car seat.
I look up in the sky, and the entire sky across the street is just spinning. And I'm looking at it, and the wind is picking up. I can see the debris starting to fly. I pulled my son out as fast as I could. We ran inside, my 2 sons and my wife and I. We jumped in the bathroom, and then we just started praying to Jesus.
More than 360 homes and buildings are badly damaged or destroyed. A twister slammed into this Nashville church with dozens of people inside. Some suffered broken bones and legs.
We get to say good morning to our loved ones again.
In North Carolina, a tornado tore down trees near Raleigh, damaging homes in this neighborhood. And at the North Carolina State women's basketball game, rainwater began leaking onto the court, resulting in a 20-minute delay. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And again, that's the same system moving here. We're not expecting any tornadoes or anything like that, but we could get some very strong wind gusts, which could bring down power lines later on, creating some power outages. And of course, if you're driving, just keep your eyes open, because you can come around the corner and maybe see a tree or something blown down in the middle of the road, or big puddles caused by all the rain we're getting today.
Yeah, hydroplaning is very much a possibility this morning.
Monday's hard to stay home, but if you can stay home if you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, the time now is 8:27.
Let's get a full look at our weather forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Scotts Recreation, New England's largest trailer dealer, home and Maine's lowest camper and tractor prices, with locations in Turner, Manchester, Herman, and Orono, Maine. All right, like before, let's break down all the advisories we have up. Again, a winter weather advisory up until 7 p.m. to the north, a winter storm warning posted for the northern areas as well. This dark green area right about in here is an aerial flood watch that is pretty much posted for a while now. Some new flood warnings have also been issued. We also have gale warnings, storm warnings. There's a lot going on here, and that's not all of it either. We have wind alerts also posted as well. This is a wind advisory up until 7 p.m. this evening. A high wind warning also posted as well. Strong gusty winds up to 50 to 55 miles per hour are possible in a few areas here, and that is why these are currently posted. And of course, the winds are stirring up the ocean as well. 6 to 10 foot wave heights are being observed right about in here, and that is why we have storm warnings that are currently in effect. But meanwhile, though, the radar and satellite is very active out there this morning. A lot of rain currently moving through. Not much of a break here, so we'll be in this for a good while, including some of that snow further off towards the north. They're going to be dealing with some travel issues there. We may have some travel issues in our backyard as well, but mainly rain and wind, maybe some areas of dense fog that we'll be dealing with as well. Let's zoom things out and give you the bigger picture. This is a system right about in here that we're watching develop from the west going toward the east, and as this develops today, this will take the rain and the wind with it. But by tonight, things will slowly start to improve. So let's take a look at things here. Futurecast pushing the rain out of here, the snow out of here as well for the northern areas. And then by later on this evening, look at this, the clouds begin to break up, and maybe just some gusty winds later on tonight and a few clouds, and that'll be about it. But a lot better as we head towards a Tuesday, a lot of sunshine, the winds slowly start to relax. We may have a little wave of energy trying to sneak in here as we head towards Tuesday night, but that won't be a big deal. Maybe some clouds, and that'll really be about it for them. But otherwise, so additional rainfall looks a little bit like this, maybe another inch or two before we're all finished up in most areas. So these areas will need to be careful with the rainfall, though. Some flooding definitely taking place already, and be careful with that if you do have to be out and about. But otherwise, so here's the gusty winds here. Some spots could still reach up to 60 miles an hour for a while this morning, but as we push that through, just some gusts up to 20 to 25 miles per hour through the afternoon period, and then things will begin to improve. Later on tonight, though, and the parts of tomorrow morning, the winds will slowly begin to relax as we do move forward. Again, some of us have already hit our high temperatures for today in the 50s, so finally some improvement there. Some 30s and 40s to the north. We've already hit our high temperatures. Again, our expected high temperature this afternoon will be in the lower 40s. Our average high temperature is 36 degrees. We'll do middle 30s Tuesday, upper 30s for you Wednesday. We're back back in the lower 30s Thursday, then some 40s and 30s Friday, Saturday, and also into your Sunday. So for today, the rain, wind, and fog, highs in the low 40s. Falling temperatures as well. North wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Later on tonight, lower 20s, partly cloudy and breezy, and that west wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow, middle 30s, lots of sunshine. That south wind relaxing to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scott's Recreation extended forecast. Lots of sunshine on Wednesday. Highs in the upper 30s, lower 30s by Thursday with a partly cloudy sky. And partly cloudy Friday, highs in the low 40s.
My darling granddaughter, this camera was given to me when I was your age. May it capture your big, beautiful life the way it did mine.
It's so surprising what the little things can do. Wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody
Oh, Merry Christmas, Grandmother.
As we age, we want to keep our independent spirit. As Mainers, we want to live life our way. That means enjoying everything life offers us here in Maine. It means making choices that can help you live your best life. Choices like your healthcare coverage and your healthcare team, so you can be prepared for almost anything. United Healthcare and Northern Light Health are working together in Maine to help keep you healthier, so you can live life to the fullest. If you're eligible for Medicare, you may be able to enroll in a United Healthcare Northern Light Health Medicare Advantage plan today. Take the step to make sure you have the coverage you need to help keep you active and thriving as you age. Call United Healthcare at 1-800-203-7205 or visit uhcnewengland.com.
It's another exciting year of high school football in the state of Maine. Get out and support your home team and be looking for the ABC7 Sports Blitz crew. You can get a free Sports Blitz t-shirt, then watch Sports Blitz during ABC7 News at 11 every Friday night during the football season. Blitz shirts courtesy of Dirt Road Cafe, Mainwood Floors, Carpet One, Coastal Auto Parts, Color Concepts, Flash Me Maine Photo Booth Rentals, Maine Collision Center, and R&K Variety.
Protests erupted across the world Saturday, one day after the United States vetoed a UN resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy is in northern Israel with the latest.
On the sidelines of climate talks in Dubai, crowds of protesters gathered Saturday urging for a ceasefire in Gaza.
We think shame on these nations that have opposed the ceasefire call.
The protests come one day after the United States vetoed a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. This after a formal warning by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that the ongoing war may, quote, aggravate existing threats to the maintenance of international peace and security.
The people of Gaza are looking into the abyss. The international community must do everything possible to end their ordeal.
Israel continues pushing farther south in Gaza, engaging in close combat in the northern Gaza Strip. Health officials in the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry say more than 17,000 people have been killed during the war. U.S. Deputy Ambassador Robert Wood said a ceasefire would only help Hamas and plant the seeds for the next war.
That would not move the needle forward on the ground in any concrete way.
Washington instead urges Israel to reduce civilian casualties while conducting its ground operation in Gaza.
We do have a difference of view about a ceasefire because we believe that Israel has the right to continue to go after a terrorist organization that is not only continuing to threaten Israel, but is holding hostages.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked the United States for its veto vote at yesterday's UN Security Council meeting, and Netanyahu said Israel will continue its justified war against Hamas terrorists. In northern Israel, Nate Foy, Fox News.
In other news, the U.S. Navy released video of one of its destroyers firing missiles to intercept fire from Yemen's Houthi rebels. The video shows the USS Carney firing the missiles to take out drones and missile fire in the Red Sea. According to the Navy, the Houthis have been targeting cargo ships and have launched long-range attacks on Israel since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. The Iranian-backed rebels say their attacks are aimed at stopping Israeli airstrikes and its ground operation in Gaza. The end of the video shows the number 22-0, and it's believed to show USS Carney's success against enemy missiles and drones shot down in the last few weeks.
President Biden will host Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the White House on Tuesday. The two leaders are expected to discuss a deal to send emergency aid to Ukraine, a proposal that's stalled in Congress. The package is tied to funding both for Israel and for protection of the United States' southern border. Senators from both political parties have been trying to put together an agreement that could pass before Congress recesses for the holidays. The White House announced Zelensky's upcoming visit on Sunday. Zelensky will also meet with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
New polls giving a slight boost to some of the hopefuls in the GOP field, with one of former President Donald Trump's competitors showing a big advantage in a potential head-to-head in the general election. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff with that story.
It's not just former President Trump feeling enthused by this new polling. Nikki Haley is as well. She's in Iowa today holding events. Former President Trump spoke at the Young Republicans Club Gala last night in New York City. He once again blamed President Biden for his current legal troubles.
They've opened up a Pandora's box, and I only can say to Joe is be very careful what you wish for, because what you've done is a terrible thing.
Trump also spoke of promising poll numbers. Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal released a survey showing Trump ahead 4 percentage points over President Biden, 47% to 43% in a direct matchup. Senator Mitt Romney weighed in today on the leading GOP candidate.
A campaign based on anger and hate may win at the ballot box temporarily, but it tears the country apart. The other day, the former president said that we are at greater threat for what is within. I think that was in some respects a self-own, because what's within, if he were to become elected president again, is a campaign of retribution and anger and hate.
Out of the same Wall Street Journal poll, Nikki Haley earned a remarkable 17-point lead in a hypothetical matchup against President Biden. But in order, of course, to secure the nomination, Haley would have to make colossal strides. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna said today that his party has to work on their messaging.
I think it's time for the Democratic Party to turn the election not in a referendum on Joe Biden, but to vividly point out what a Donald Trump presidency is going to mean.
Abortion is a likely area where the Biden campaign will focus, working to tie Trump to the most restrictive policies, a strategy that worked for Democrats on the state level last month in Virginia. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Just a correction real quick. I've been calling it the Houthi rebels all morning. It's the Houthi rebels. Not like Hootie and the Blowfish rebels, so
right.
Glad we got that straight.
Yeah.
It'd be more funny if it was Hootie and the Blowfish.
I just trusted
rebels.
you blindly there. I was like, yeah, a great band.
I was reading it, wasn't thinking.
Okay.
Happens.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, if you have to send any Christmas gifts through the mail, this week is crunch time. We'll hear advice from the USPS.
Plus, they'll need some affordable gift ideas. Well, we'll hear about the prices that have been dropping recently. That and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
Jerry's Used Cars has been a family-owned business for more than 30 years, currently in Corinna and Vesey. However, we have changed a little as we are no longer just a buy-here, pay-here dealership. We now have access to outside financing and also carry utility trailers. We would be happy to assist you with your next vehicle purchase. And don't forget, here at Jerry's Used Cars, we offer an extended warranty. So give us a call at either our Corinna or Vesey location.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. Our Stable Lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Monday, December 11th, 2023, and there are just 14 days until Christmas. This is also National UNICEF Day.
It was on this day back in 1946 when the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund was founded. It was created to provide emergency food and health care to children and mothers who were left devastated by World War II. Well, now the reputable and trustworthy charity has helped save more children's lives than any other humanitarian organization by providing everything from clean water to immunizations around the world.
They're kind of similar to Doctors Without Borders. It's just if somebody needs help, they'll go fill the gap.
Yeah.
Yep. On this day in history, in 1719, the first recorded sighting of the Aurora Borealis took place in New England. In 1866, the first yacht race across the Atlantic Ocean began. The idea, of course, started as a drunken bet between some wealthy Americans a couple of months before the race.
A couple guys sitting around having a few pints of mead or something like that.
Yep.
Said, I got an idea.
Yep.
Just like that. That's how it went down. So,
I find that very easy to believe.
yeah, a lot of things start that way.
Right. A lot of things also end that way.
Yes, they do. Poorly.
Yeah. In 1936, Britain's King Edward VIII abdicated the throne so he could marry American divorcee Wallis Warfield Simpson. He became one of the shortest reigning monarchs after turning the throne over to his brother George. In 1972, the final Apollo mission successfully landed on the moon. And in 1980, President Jimmy Carter signed legislation creating an environmental superfund to pay for cleaning up chemicals and toxic waste dumps across the country.
In 1987, Charlie Chaplin's famous Kanan bowler hat were sold at Christie's auction house for $154,000. In 2002, a congressional report found that intelligence agencies failed to stop the September 11th attacks because they were poorly organized, poorly equipped, and slow to pursue clues that might have prevented that attack. I'd like to think that they have things in order now, and
right.
You know, I think it led to a lot of changes indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Patriot Act took care of that. Yeah. Today's birthdays include rocker Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, who turns 65. Actress Haley Steinfeld turns 27. And actress Rita Moreno turns 92.
She was amazing. She made her big break in, got her big break in West Side Story. And then if you look back at her filmology, you'd be surprised at how many films, big films, that she appeared in.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to all of them.
I don't think we'll see the graphic of them though. So there we go.
There we go. There's Nikki Sixx.
Yep.
He's a character. I'm surprised he's still alive. But
I know,
yeah.
with the lives that they've lived
Yeah.
in that band.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Well, once again, happy birthday to all of them.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, moving right along. It's gonna rain. It's gonna keep on raining all day.
Better bring your slicker, and as you said earlier, charge your phones and that
Yep.
kind of thing, because the power could go out. Let's hope it doesn't.
Right, knock on wood.
I do know that the utility crews have like hundreds of people standing by just in case.
Yeah.
So they're ready to respond to that storm.
Sounds good. Hey, let's check in with Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Scotch Recreation, New England's largest trailer dealer, home and Maine's lowest camper and tractor prices, with locations in Turner, Manchester, Herman, and Orono, Maine. All right, we got a lot going on here, so let's start here with some winter weather alerts in the northern parts of the state, and this will last until later this evening at around 7 p.m. or so because of a lot of snowfall that will be expected in those areas, causing some travel issues there. But meanwhile, the next set of advisories we're going to talk about, though, we have a storm warning along the coast. We also have high wind warnings located right about here. It's actually right behind this flood alert here. An aerial flood watch also posted, winter weather advisories, and also some aerial flood alerts as well. There is a lot going on right now, too, and then there's those wind alerts that we were talking about as well. Those will also last until around 7 p.m. Things will start to improve as we head towards later this evening. So there's a lot of advisories in effect, and here we go. A lot of rainfall, no breaks to be seen. There's no lightning, thankfully, though, but we do have the rain moving through. A lot of heavy rainfall to be seen across the area. Further out toward the north, that's where the snow is being seen. Some travel issues there. But for us, rain and wind will be the bigger issue across our neck of the woods. The bigger picture, though, pretty much the entire Northeast is seeing some kind of precipitation, whether that's a little bit of rain or a little bit of snow. So please be careful if you do have to travel today. If you can stay home today, maybe encourage it, though. Just wait for this to move out of here later on tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be a little bit better. But if you do have to be out, just take it slow and allow extra time to get to where you're going. Here's our high temperatures all ready for today. At no error here. This graph traffic. Some of us have already seen 50s today, others in the 40s. We pretty much have already hit our high temperatures for this day, as we'll be cooling off moving forward. But things do calm down later on tonight, though, as we get this system out of here. Then we'll have a lot of sunshine, maybe a little bit of a breeze as we head towards tomorrow as well, as we'll start to push the winds out of here. They'll be out of the northwest at around 20 miles per hour early, but backing off slowly but surely. We'll have to wait until Tuesday afternoon for some improvement in the winds. So an hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, a lot of rain and wind on the way. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
The U.S. Postal Service has reminders for you. The Postal Service says if you're doing a 5-day shipping with USPS Ground Advantage and First Class Mail, Friday, December 16th is the cutoff day. If you use 4-day shipping, you can mail until December 18th to count on parcels getting under the Christmas tree. And if you're waiting to count down time for Priority Mail Express, you have until Thursday, December 21st. The last scheduled day for regular USPS delivery is Saturday, December 23rd. And there's no regular mail, of course, on Monday, Christmas Day.
So it's time to kick it into high gear.
Right.
You know, if you haven't yet.
Yep. And still to come here this morning, the rates of students learning a foreign language have been dropping. We'll hear why this is an economic concern.
Don't go away.
My father worked at the mill for over 30 years. He was exposed to a great community and excelled at his job, but he was also exposed to asbestos. The air quality inside the mill was always his biggest complaint. He had no idea how deadly some of the products and materials were. When he was diagnosed with mesothelioma, we knew to call Joe Bornstein's office to get my dad the help he needs and the justice he deserves.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
Football fans, with a Caesars Sportsbook app, you can be in the game all the time. Seeking instant action? Quick Picks offers you the most popular games and markets, already built for you and ready to bet. Experience the thrill when you stack your bets to create a super parlay. Build bets for your favorite teams and players across multiple games. This season, don't just watch the game. Download Caesars Sportsbook and experience the game like never before.
Great Scott! This is Green Bear 420 in 2010. What kind of trip is this? I gotta get back to 2023. Wait, it's 2015. So much has changed. In 2023, we had a lot more glass, t-shirts, and novelties. It's gonna take a bolt of lightning to get me home. Finally, home at last. Now Green Bear 420, Green Bear Green Care is bigger and better than ever. To be continued.
On the next Last Man Standing, an old flame returns.
I don't think technically we ever broke up.
Well, that's true. So I guess you're cheating on me with your wife.
Don't make a thing about this.
What thing? The thing about the college girlfriend you never broke up with, or where she wants to sleep with you in a little pup tent?
And she's turning up the heat.
I think it should just be you and me on this trip.
Alone?
Last Man Standing. This afternoon, starting at 4 on Fox 22.
Welcome to MasterChef Junior, home for the holidays. I thought we were all going to wear costumes for this.
Bah, humbug! MasterChef Junior, home for the holidays, tonight on Fox.
Hey, welcome back. Santa may drop some special gifts in your lap this year thanks to dropping prices. A Wall Street Journal report says consumers can benefit on falling prices on certain items as supply chain issues ease. While food prices are still increasing, other desired good prices are tumbling. Federal data shows electronic prices have dipped for 5 straight months. The report says some washing machine models are $50 to $100 cheaper. Computer tablets are down compared to last year, and the consumer price index for airfares have receded in 5 of the last 7 months. In other news, in today's fast-paced global economy, knowing more than one language could make you a more marketable employee. But as more businesses look to hire people with foreign language skills, many positions are staying empty. Fox News correspondent Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at the negative impacts that can stem from students not studying a foreign language.
The number of American college students learning a foreign language is in steep decline, and academic experts say the trend could spell disaster for the health and wealth of the nation.
Declines in language study and the lack of knowledge of other languages
have made the nation vulnerable on an international stage, weakening national security as well as the economy.
Deborah Cohn of Indiana University says the decrease noticeably began in 2009.
A November 2023 report by the Modern Language Association shows that college-level enrollments fell almost 17% between 2016 and 2021. This continues a trend since the Great Recession, where enrollments have fallen almost 30% nationwide between 2009 and 2021.
With many of the most commonly taught languages still being impacted.
Arabic fell by almost 35%, Chinese by almost 25%, French by 37%, German by 44%, and Spanish by 32%.
Cohen says a lack of foreign language proficiency is bad for businesses, as well as many prospective employees looking for a job.
Employers need language skills to compete in today's economy. Many U.S. jobs depend on global trade, and research has shown that the number of job postings seeking workers with foreign language skills is increasing rapidly.
So far, it's been especially true for many government positions.
In 2020, nearly a quarter of the State Department's overseas positions were held by people that did not meet the language proficiency requirements for their jobs. The Department of Defense cannot fill many of its 30,000 positions that require languages.
Chris DeMayo, Fox News.
All right, when we return, we'll have your full weather forecast. Don't go anywhere.
Toyotathon is on. Time to make the holidays picture perfect with a new Toyota. We're gonna need a bigger tree.
You could get an adventure-seeking RAV4 gas model with $1,000 financing cash. Toyota, let's go places.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. With so many mesothelioma lawyers on television, how do you choose the right firm for you and your family? Our goal is to get you as much as you deserve. $30 billion was set aside for mesothelioma victims like you. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, we'll come to you within 24 hours so our team can get to work right away. Call us now. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Call 1-800-602-5800.
Nexium 24-Hour prevents heartburn acid before it begins. Get all day and all night heartburn acid prevention with just one pill a day. Choose acid prevention. Choose Nexium.
Did you know that it's possible to buy the wrong type of flooring for your home? Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or professional contractor, the experts at Don DeKalb Mainwood Floors are here to help, offering solid pro advice from choosing the right material and color to installation. Don DeKalb features the highest quality hardwood flooring sourced from lumber right here in Maine, from Maine traditions. Not only will you get a floor you'll love, you'll get a floor that will last. Don DeKalb Mainwood Floors, buy from the best, forget the rest.
I heard about you. You're that smart kid.
Young Sheldon, boy genius on Origin Story.
Yes, that's me.
A small-town boy.
Young man. Yes, you.
With supersonic hearing. Visionary vision.
Cheeky little Miwan, you know you don't belong there.
And a heightened sense of smell.
Ew. Put your shoes back on.
Young Sheldon 5 times a week. Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
You can't smell this.
Yes, I can.
All right, now let's get one final look at that forecast with Devin Beggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Scotts Recreation, New England's largest trailer dealer, home and Maine's lowest camper and tractor prices, with locations in Turner, Manchester, Herman, and Orono, Maine. All right, like before, let's break down all the advisories we have up. Again, a winter weather advisory up until 7 p.m. to the north, a winter storm warning posted for the northern areas as well. This dark green area right about in here is an aerial flood watch that is pretty much posted for a while now. Some new flood warnings have also been issued. We also have gale warnings, storm warnings. There's a lot going on here, and that's not all of it either. We have wind alerts also posted as well. This is a wind advisory up until 7 p.m. this evening. A high wind warning also posted as well. Strong gusty winds up to 50 to 55 miles per hour possible in a few areas here, and that is why these are currently posted. And of course, the winds are stirring up the ocean as well. 6 to 10 foot wave heights are being observed right about in here, and that is why we have storm warnings that are currently in effect. But meanwhile, though, the radar and satellite is very active out there this morning. A lot of rain currently moving through. Not much of a break here, so we'll be in this for a good while, including some of that snow further off towards the north. They're going to be dealing with some travel issues there. We may have some travel issues in our backyard as well, but mainly rain and wind, maybe some areas of dense fog that we'll be dealing with as well. Let's zoom things out and give you the bigger picture. This is a system right about in here that we're watching develop from the west going toward the east, and as this develops today, this will take the rain and the wind with it. But by tonight, things will slowly start to improve. So let's take a look at things here. Futurecast pushing the rain out of here, the snow out of here as well for the northern areas. And then by later on this evening, look at this, the clouds begin to break up, and maybe just some gusty winds later on tonight and a few clouds, and that'll be about it. But a lot better as we head towards the Tuesday, a lot of sunshine, the winds slowly start to relax. We may have a little wave of energy trying to sneak in here as we head towards Tuesday night, but that won't be a big deal. Maybe some clouds, and that'll really be about it for them. But otherwise, so additional rainfall looks a little bit like this, maybe in another inch or two before we're all finished up in most areas. So these areas will need to be careful with the rainfall, though. Some flooding definitely taking place already, and be careful with that if you do have to be out and about. But otherwise, so here's the gusty winds here. Some spots could still reach up to 60 miles an hour for a while this morning, but as we push that through, just some gusts up to 20 to 25 miles per hour through the afternoon period, and then things will begin to improve. Later on tonight, though, and the parts of tomorrow morning, the winds will slowly begin to relax as we do move forward. Again, some of us have already hit our high temperatures for today in the 50s, so finally some improvement there. Some 30s and 40s to the north. We've already hit our high temperatures. Again, our expected high temperature this afternoon will be in the lower 40s. Our average high temperature is 36 degrees. We'll do middle 30s Tuesday, upper 30s for you Wednesday. We're back in the lower 30s Thursday, then some 40s and 30s Friday, Saturday, and also in your Sunday. So for today, the rain, wind, and fog, highs in the low 40s. Falling temperatures as well. North wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Later on tonight, lower 20s, partly cloudy and breezy, and that west wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow, middle 30s, lots of sunshine. That south wind relaxing to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scott's Recreation extended forecast. Lots of sunshine on Wednesday. Highs in the upper 30s, lower 30s by Thursday with a partly cloudy sky, and partly cloudy Friday. Highs in the low 40s.
Do more together this holiday in the Chevy that's right for you. The award-winning Chevy Equinox, the hard-working Chevy Silverado, or the all-new high-tech Chevy Trax. Whatever your plans are this season, do more in a new Chevy. Use your Red Tag bonus cash to get $7,000 total cash allowance on this Silverado.
Visit your main Chevy dealer.
I'm sorry. I cannot let you in here.
The only thing that should be in a baby crib is a baby. Letting a baby sleep with blankets and toys can be dangerous. Learn how safe sleeping practices can save your baby's life at safesleepforme.org.
At US Cellular, anyone can get any phone free. So give yourself a free phone.
She's here.
Then give yourself the gift of not checking it. The gift of connection at US Cellular. New and current customers get any phone free.
25 words or less.
Gift cards. That's all anybody wants. Just gift cards.
Calm down.
I'm not calming down. You know what? This is the hill I'm dying on.
It's the gift.
Christmas man.
Santa Claus. You got it. You have won the game, ladies. Yay!
That keeps on giving. Bench. Park bench. 5 days a week.
You're going home with $10,000.
Yes!
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Some food delivery services say they won't ask for tips anymore before you get your food delivered. DoorDash and Uber Eats say they're going to hold off on tip prompting before deliveries are completed, and customers won't have to post their tips as an incentive for delivery people to make faster deliveries. Delivery services are already under pressure in places like New York City that also have minimum pay rules, potentially affecting tips too. Uber, DoorDash, and New York-based Relay Company oppose minimum pay rules, saying they'll increase the costs of delivery services. New York City requires a $17.96 an hour minimum wage for delivery workers.
Very interesting. Makes sense. We had a report here recently saying that some of the drivers were actually
shopping around for the ones that had the biggest tips,
right?
Which makes sense. They'll want to get those because they'll make more money first,
right?
And if you don't leave a tip on there and you want to do it later on, they would just let your stuff go cold,
right?
So
yeah,
this kind of evens the playing field a little bit.
I know. It kind of leads me to just go pick it up myself.
Yeah. Hey, be careful out there today. Again, that stormy weather is going to continue for much of the day today. Some of us could see some very strong winds, and we should take it seriously.
Yep. Looks like we're about out of time today. If you missed anything, head to foxbangor.com.
Have a great day.